Hello, everybody. It's June the 2nd, 2023, and it's time for another episode of AMA Air. Coming up today, we're celebrating 50 years of Hitec.
And we've got a lot of other stuff to talk about. Matt's Indy 500 experience. Plus, we have a plane giveaway at the end. Stay tuned.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of AMA Air. My name is Matt Ruddick.
Hey guys, I'm Lee Ray, and welcome back to AMA Air. And I'm going to apologize right now. I forgot the last episode to talk about Indy 500 with Matt. I'm bringing it back right now. This is my punishment, and because I just completely forgot to talk about it, and it is one of Matt's favorite things to do. The Indy 500 is over. Matt, did your guy win?
Well, I'll be honest. I don't really have a guy per se. There are a few people I do like. Those were not in the winning scenario this year. Joseph Newgarden, who was the winner, I do actually like him. I think he's a really solid driver, really good dude, and I congratulate him for sure. It was, I'll tell you, an incredible race. I had an absolute blast. The weather was perfect, which for me is like half the battle because I got to stand out there, for 6 hours. It feels like by the time everything's said and done. But it was a great time. We had a real fun time, and again, great race, which is all we can ask for.
Well, you posted some photos. They were really good. You got a couple of the crash pics. I'll tell you, the ending was just riveting. I don't know about you and red flags and all that stuff and the tire leaving the racetrack, but I mean, we were watching and just pins and needles on who was going to win. And I just got to say, I'm glad Newgarden won. There you go.
That's fine. I won't hold that against you. It was a good time. It was the red flag situation at the end. Not to make this the racing show, but I was conflicted about it at first. I'll be honest with you. I was a little conflicted. I'm like, how are you going to red flag it for a one lap dash to the end? But it was exciting. I'll give him credit. It was absolutely exciting. You mentioned the tire leaving the track, which was wild. So I was over in turn 3. That's where I typically shoot from on race day, and that happened over in turn 2, so I was kind of at a distance, didn't see it in person, but luckily nobody got hurt, just some damage to a car. My understanding is that they're being taken care of quite well. All is well with the finale of the Indy 500 this year. So
we've talked about it on AMA Air last year, and I just did not want to forget this year because I know your stuff is amazing. I know it's very dear to your heart, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. So I'm glad that you got to still partake in it.
Well, I appreciate that, and I wish you'd give me a heads up. I'd have shown some pictures while we were here. I didn't have any prepared.
Surprise! You've thrown the whole baseball clock thing at me. This was my surprise back to you. So let's get on with the show, shall we? We've already had people say, "What is this show about?" Like, who's this Eeyore? Right? We're just rambling. We'll get on with the show.
Well, and we want to get out of the way because this is a very special show. One of the companies who's been a mainstay in our hobby for, well, now 50 years is Hitec. They are someone who's been around creating everything from incredible servos, battery chargers. They've created models in the past as well. They've got a whole lineup of products, and they've been a huge supporter of the AMA for so many years. And we wanted to show them a little bit of love today because they are this year celebrating their 50th anniversary. And to help us celebrate that, we wanted to bring on a representative from Hitec to talk about the company and some of the things they've got going on. And today we have Sean Spiker. He is the sales manager from Hitec. Sean, welcome to AMA Air.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate you guys having me on. This is a treat.
Absolutely. We love to have you guys on. Again, Hitec has been such a huge supporter of ours from seeing you guys at AMA Expos over the years and different trade shows, sponsoring different events. I know you guys are sponsoring our National Fun Fly this year. It's really important that we kind of help spread the word about how your company's doing. When we see a company like yours in this hobby that has lasted for 50 years, that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
I would love for you to, talk a little bit about Hitec. I'm sure most people watching, if not everybody watching, is probably pretty familiar with your company. But if there's someone who's brand new that might be watching, why don't you tell them a little bit about Hitec and what you guys do?
Well, right now we primarily build servos and chargers, but over the decades we've made a lot of radios, we've a lot of chargers, a lot of receivers. I think we kind of made the term flight pack, made that kind of a common language, common term in the hobby. In fact, that was one of my early introductions to Hitec before I was an employee. Is I had to go out and buy a flight pack for one of the airplanes I was building.
The Electron 6.
The Electron 6, the Supreme
555, yeah.
the 555, just so many over the years. And, I've still got a few Electron 6s and Supreme 8s sitting in a drawer somewhere, and still a few 72 megahertz radios sitting around also. But even back when I was 12 or 13, my first service radio was I think it was a Challenger 260, and I got it out of the back of a Boy's Life, the Boy Scout magazine, when it came with a ready to run car. So 20 something years later, here I am. I've got a job with Hitec, and here another 18 years after that, I'm still here at Hitec, so having a great time. But yeah, it's been a privilege. There's been so many good products that we've brought to the market. Our partnership with Multiplex over the decades, where the Easy Star. I'm still so proud of the Easy Star and how many people learned how to fly, and kind of we overcame that barrier to entry for the hobby with a plane that was easy to fly, that was repairable, that could almost fly, hands off. And so it's wonderful to be a part of that, and to be around for 50 years. It's something that we're all very proud of. We're celebrating, we're spreading the good word. So here we are, and Matt Lee, coming on the AMA podcast like this. This is really exciting for me, and it's just proud. So I'm proud about it. So.
Well, I'm curious. I mean, and you kind of touched on it there, but what does it mean to you guys to have, to be celebrating a milestone like 50 years? There are a lot of companies, let alone in the hobby industry, just any company in general, that can last 50 years. That's a huge accomplishment.
And it hasn't been easy. The hobby industry has changed considerably, and to be able to not only survive with the changes, but to thrive amongst those changes, that's something that we've worked hard at. It's looking as far into the future as we can on the direction of the hobby. So these are things that, coming out with products that are still relevant to the market, relevant to the hobbyists, relevant to the people that get out there, that, everyone that still builds, to people that are buying the ready runs and are ready to flies. It's, we need to be, we still be out in front. And part of that, part of what we're doing this year is celebrating that, and being more active in the hobby community, getting out to more trade shows now that we're kind of past the whole COVID non-traveling thing. We're getting out there. We're trying to hit as many events as we can, sending pilots to events. We just got back from Joe Nall, and I was traveling the week before then too. So I was away for 2 weeks. But when Joe Nall, it's work, but it's not work. It's
yes.
You're up 20 hours, and you're flying and having fun every one of those 20 hours. The sleep and the eating just get in the way of having a good time.
You're demoing your product, so don't get me wrong, it's still work.
No, and it's talking to people, and honestly, people don't pay to see me fly. So I'm out there, talking about the product, talking to the pilots. It was Joe Nall for us, and for me this year was a reunion. So, that picture right there, that's Brandon Chitty and Rick Chitty. Brandon was kind of our OG pilot. He was back in the day. He flew the foamies. He rocked it at the ETOC in Toledo all those years ago, and then out there with giant scale things. And just throwing down, having a great time. And it was so good just to be back in that environment, having great product, getting to see a lot of great people, Jim T. Graham. So, hanging out at the 3D line, hanging out at the main line, hanging out at the electric line. So, and at Joe Nall, you got to drive to these. You can't just walk. If you try to walk from one line to the other, you'll miss an hour's worth of what's going on. So it's just such an amazing venue. And I think it's probably the largest RC show in the world. And you've got people coming from everywhere just to be there. And so, in fact, let's see, that was the electric line. So I'm flying, I think probably just easy glider there, just something. And I don't get to fly as much as I would like, and but getting out there, getting the thumbs warm again, or I might. It looks like I'm flying thumbs there. I usually fly helicopters pinch, but and then I did get to fly one of our pilots' big 150cc or 175cc biplane out of the 3D line, and I flew it pretty high. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to stay a few mistakes high, and it's been a while, but just such a great time. I'm there with Mike and Jim Widener, and then there's Mike, and actually there's one of the AMA district vice presidents right there, Jim Bonnerdale. So he actually works for us, and he's District 10 vice president. So he's, I don't even know how long Jim has been an AMA member and active in the AMA. It's probably 30 something years. But what a great time, what a great venue. All the families out there. It's hard to describe to somebody when you say, there's like 15,000 people out there. There's 1,000 to 2,000 RVs. Everyone's camping. Everyone's having a good time. It's just an amazing event, and it's one of those bucket list type. If you have any appreciation and love for the RC hobby, Joe Nall is one of the things you need to experience in person at least once.
Yeah, that's so I've been with the AMA for I think 8 years at this point, and I've not yet got to go to Joe Nall. That's like the one big event. Well, let me take it back. There's 2 big events that I've not yet got to go to, and that's one of them. So maybe I need to have everybody sign a petition so they could send me to Joe Nall next year.
Yep.
I'll sign it. I'll sign that. I want you to go, Matt.
And so for those watching the podcast too, and also in that picture was of course Mike Mayberry. Mike Mayberry has been an integral part of Hitec for, I think Mike's on 26, 27 years, and you can always recognize Mike by his hair. Mike, has probably talked to hundreds of thousands of customers on the phone over the years. He still answers the phone. You go over to his office and he's always on the phone because he's always talking to somebody. And that's what we're very proud of here as Hitec is you can pick up the phone and call us. You can talk to me, you can talk to Mike, you can talk to the guys in service. We're all hobbyists also. So we're here. We'll, you get us going on a topic, just kind of like here at the podcast, we'll just keep talking, all day long.
Well, it's interesting. I used to see you and Mike all the time at trade shows and events, and you mentioned here you guys were back at Joe Nall this year. I know during the pandemic period, you guys kind of reined back a little bit of your travel to events, but I know you guys are picking that back up this year. Where are some other places that folks might be able to stop by and chat with you guys in person?
Well, into this month, there's going to be a glider event at Sky Park, Santa's Village in Lake Arrowhead. So I'll be there. It's alpine soaring, and I'm a glider guy at heart. So to go out there to just experience that, it's a completely unique place, and to pitch a big 2, 3, 4 meter glider off a mountain and go find lift, it's pretty exciting, and the lift there it's off the hook. Along with flying a bunch of different multiplex gliders, I thermaled a Fun Cub XL for 30 minutes with the motor off. So wow. That's how much lift there was, and I'm up there, way up in the sky with these big 3 and 4 meter beautiful glass ships that are just, tearing up the sky. And there's this big gangly foam Fun Cub XL with the monster wheels hanging off of it. And I'm just sitting there floating around in the sky, throttle completely cut, and just doing these lazy circles with these big, probably $2,000 glass ships. So it was, and everyone's just laughing and having a good time. They're kind of hard, they're looking up in the sky going, I can't believe what I'm looking at, but that's how much good there is. And wow, what an experience. I'm so excited to go back. And, Lake Arrowhead out here in California is beautiful. And so, yeah, looking forward to that. There's the Great Lakes Fly-In. I think Mike is going to go to that. And we've got a number of our pilots. That's kind of home field for the manager of our team. So Scott Bowerschmidt will be out there. And he was at Joe Nall with his 60% Cub, which I didn't ask to fly it, but I was standing next to him while he was flying it. But yeah, so events like that. There's a lot of surface events. We'll see Hitec customers at coming up, and then there's a lot of other trade shows that might be like dealer related or manufacturer related. So it's going to be a busy rest of the year. But looking forward to every time we get out and we get to see the public. We get to talk to hobbyists. We get to share our joy of being in this hobby, and we have products that we're truly proud of. So that does make it easier to go to these trade shows when you can talk from the heart about something you truly believe in, and just like I do right now, just go on and on and on about it. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, I got to say, it's absolute shocking for me to hear that somebody who lives out in Southern California is a fan of soaring and gliding, because you certainly don't have any place to do that out there.
Yeah, it's not like Torrey Pines is about 15 minutes west of here. So
rub that in a little bit, will you?
Well, I still think about the one time I took Jay out there,
yeah,
and just sat there and handed him a plane and just tossed it off the cliff. And it was, just one of those pinch me moments too. And it was, the sun was going down and there was still lift, and there was like 2 other people there, and it was just, all you could hear was the waves crashing and just the airplane flying in front of us with the sun, setting with the ocean. So it was, I think Jay still has some pretty good pictures of that, but one of those great moments.
Yeah, we've got some photos and I think some video footage from that visit too that I come across every now and again when you're searching for some other stuff to use, and like, hey, what's this? Oh, that's right. Yeah, I wish I had been there for that. Lee, I'll stop taking over this interview. I'll let you ask some questions if you want.
I know I've only got 50 questions here for you, Sean. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
No, I'm just kidding. So I think because of those people who are watching are probably using them in aviation, but of course you mentioned a little bit ago that you do them for cars. I have some huge winch servos in my boats. What has changed? Obviously, you've been around for 50 years. We're talking about servos that were this big. I remember building my first Heathkit radio. But within the past, say, 20 years, what's changed around servos, and what do you expect is going to happen, say, in the next 10?
So that's a good question. In the last 10, 15 years, what's really changed is the power we're able to get out of a servo, using stronger strength gears, going to titanium and hardened steel, finding better motors, or in some cases for us, designing and building better motors, just learning more on what it takes to make servos be durable, last longer, with these newer, more powerful, there's a lot of brushless motors in servos nowadays. That's definitely changed over the years. We have standard size servos that are legitimately pushing, close to 1,000 ounces of torque. And then, in the hobby, you don't see the really large quarter scale servos used as much anymore, but outside of the hobby, we make servos that are even larger than that, that would basically lift up a full size car. So, there's crazy things going on like that for the industrial markets, and they're still servos. But one thing you did mention is, what I do believe will change in the future is going to protocols outside of just the PWM, which has been standard in the hobby, where you go to
Yeah.
protocols like CAN and RS-45, where you can have bidirectional communication, and it becomes a smart servo where the servo's feeding back data and telemetry that, hey, this is my output right now, this is the voltage I'm seeing, this is the current I'm currently operating at, this is the number of cycles, this is the position relative to what I'm being told to go to. So you've got servos that are working with what's commanding them, whether that be a receiver or autopilot or something like that, and they're apprising what's going on in real time, and making things more safer, as we're a big supplier for unmanned systems, and those are the types of scenarios that need to be in place to make these unmanned systems safer, allow them to fly the general aerospace and everything else. Is they need to know what's going on, and a servo, the actuator that's moving the rudder and the elevator, and these things are talking to the autopilot, letting them know what's going on, and it makes everything safer. If something gets damaged, the autopilot can recognize it because of what the servo's telling it, and do some mitigating operations to stay in the air, or to bring it home safely, things like that. So more and more of that. We got servos that'll tell how humid it is inside the case, things like that. So the sky's almost the limit. It really depends on what the customer is looking for, and we have a lot of customers that are looking for some pretty unique things, and we really have led the worldwide market into bringing these products to the masses. And we have just about every one of our digital servos is available in CAN protocol, and that could be drone CAN. There's other forms of CAN, and even RS-45, and even our regular hobby series servos will speak TTL. And so, and most hobbyists don't care to know this at this point, but that may change in the future. But we have total over 200 different servos of all kinds of sizes and flavors, and so it's an expansive product line, and servos of all sizes and for all budget constraints. So there we are, and we're having fun, and it's constant new development. I talk to my engineering team almost every evening, and I'm like, hey, where are we at on this? Where are we at on this? Okay, we got this big name customer that we want to implement this for that customer, and all these a lot of these attributes end up coming back to the hobby. So there's a trickle down of all this development back into the hobby, and it just makes the hobby servos that much better.
Well, to your point, there's constant development. There's constant improvement. I'm curious, for those watching at home that maybe are in the market to be looking at some new servos, some new products, and that sort of thing. What types of new things do you guys have on the horizon, or even that's have already been released or just been released, that you'd like to share with everybody?
So we just brought to the market the DB961 waterproof, and that's a standard size servo, metal case. There we go. Brushless. We rated it right at around 800 ounce-inches of torque, and that's a pretty conservative rating. But as far as durability, the hardened steel gears, there's a customer. So we've been testing this particular servo for almost a year. And before, it was 4 or 5 months before we even brought it to market that we were testing it. It was with certain customers that had just insanely demanding applications. And the durability of this particular servo has been beyond anything else that we've brought to market, and testing it against other manufacturer servos. We're very, very proud of this, along with it being waterproof. It'll operate underwater. We have certain customers that are operating these hundreds of feet underwater in salt water. So it is pretty incredible. And this servo actually has another unique feature that allows you to set a thermal cutoff. So if it's in something where, it has to have some safety regulations, if the servo hits a certain temperature and you can define that temperature, it either pulls back power or turns off entirely. You can set this to, and you can tell it for how long. But just things that you would have imagined a servo could do previously, it's all built in, and it's still, the average hobbyist that's looking for a very powerful 20 millimeter standard size case servo, or for giant scale or anything like that. He's still going to be able to drop it in his airplane. It's still going to operate like a regular servo. It just has all these other features. But with the amount of torque it can produce, the strength of the case, it's just going to be, it's a great product. We're super proud of it. We're going to be building a lot of these, and we'll even have a 50th anniversary edition of it here shortly.
Nice.
So, quick question: what's the voltage range on that? Is it? I'm assuming it's in high voltage.
Yeah, it'll go up. It's the high voltage hobby range, so it'll go up to 8.4 volts nominal, or I'm sorry, 7.4 nominal, but 8.4 volts is what it's rated to. I do have another version of it that does go up to 32 volts. So I am proud of that too. But yeah, so it's 2-cell LiPo is going to be fine all day long. It's going to perform most efficiently at that voltage too.
All right. Does it require an external programmer? You mentioned all the features it has, but is that something that can be programmed with your transmitter, or is this something that another tool that you would need to do that?
That's a good question. So you don't have to have a programmer, but to implement some of the features, it does require one of our programmers. There's quite a few. There's the DPC-11, which is the one you plug into your computer. There's HFP-30, which is the field programmer. So all these settings, you can slow it down. You can change the deadband. You can change how much sweep it has. So you can, there's kind of the standard hobby sweep, which is about 110, 120 degrees, or you can make it go like 300 degrees. And then other versions, you can make it multi-rotation. So there's quite a few options. You do have to have one of the external programmers, and they're not expensive. We are working on in the future having all the programming ability, a web-based program. So you basically have a little GUI tool, and you plug it in and then go to the internet, and you can program your servo that way. So you can do it from your phone. You can do it from any device. It doesn't have to be a PC. Just to make it more convenient to make the changes to the servo you want. And one of the other kind of unique programming features with our servos is you can match servos. You can make them digitally identical. So if you have a large control surface where you've got 2 and 3 servos, you can make sure that each one of those servos is identical in every step. It starts at the same place and ends on the same place, so you don't have those servos fighting each other on the same control surface.
Very cool. Well,
It is cool.
in terms of new products, so we've got that servo. Is there anything else you wanted to share with everybody?
Yeah, there's a couple others I want to talk about. So one of them is the D131, and that's going to be one of our little micro servos. So this was a servo a long time in development. When the HS35 and the 5035 went away, we really didn't have anything to replace it. But I wanted something that had kind of durability first. When you get this small, typically it's plastic cases. They're a little bit on the fragile side, but here it's all metal case. It's metal gears, tons of torque. I don't remember what the torque rating is off the top of my head for this one, but for the size, it is going to be very, very powerful. So. This has a lot of applications in the hobby when you just need something as small as it's going to get, but have a lot of power. It's going to be a wide voltage servo too, so it's going to go down to the 4.8 all the way up to the 8.4. So excited about this servo also. I've got a DLG that has a few of these in it now. Wish I had the chance to fly it more, but there's so many other applications for this.
It's not side by side with the 55, but how much smaller would you say percentage-wise is that from a Hitec 55? Because I think a lot of people know that size.
Yeah, it's going to be a fair amount smaller. It is about the same in height because of the motor that sticks out of the bottom of the case. But as far as the width and the rest of the dimensions, it's quite a bit smaller than the
Wow.
55.
And is this available now?
It is available now. Yep. So yeah,
All right.
D131. And then another new servo is the D141. So this is going to be kind of in the wing category. This is a 10 millimeter servo. This is insanely powerful for the size. Metal case, steel gears. It had to be a steel gears just to be able to contain the power. The gears are really, really small. And then it required the metal case to hold the power. And, I'll tell this to people that, the power of a servo is actually more limited by the case and the gear train than the actual motor. So the motor is typically tuned to what the case will withstand and to make sure it's going to meet the minimum required, rotations and in just the meantime before the servo wears out. So we tune each servo and we make sure it's going to last to our minimum requirements and make sure that all the parameters are set where it's going to last a long time. It's still going to have as much power as it can, but it's not going to blow up the case or blow up or destroy itself. And so, there's a lot of thought and tuning and performance measurements that go into every servo we bring to market. And which with a servo like this is how much we believe power it needs and power it can put out to be reliable and to make sure that it's going to do its job and do its job for a long time. So yeah, D141, it's available now too. There's a lot of this size servo that goes outside of the hobby for the unmanned systems, and we make versions of this and other protocols too. But it's a high voltage servo, so it's designed for the 6 volts to the 8.4 volt range. So again, regular 5-cell nickel metal pack or the 2-cell LiPo.
Are you thinking this is over 80 ounce of torque?
I think it's right around 100 ounces of torque.
Little bitty servo.
Yep.
A lot of muscle.
Probably should check the website out just to make sure my memory is correct. It's sometimes it's hard to remember all the specs for 200 different servos. But
I bet. And I don't know if we put the link up yet on your website, but definitely, if you're watching right now, go to hitecrcd.com and take a look at all the different servos that are out there. There's some great PDF charts that you should look at to talk about size and torque and voltage range. And I did put a poll up there. Just curious if anybody else would like to put down, what are your favorite Hitec servos? I mentioned mine are the 81 and the 645. I've got bunches of, and in fact, I got to tell you, I still go to swap meets, and if I see an 81, and for some reason someone's passing up on an 81 and has it for sale, I'm grabbing it. It is just a very popular. I mean, it's just a great size servo, and obviously, Sean and I've spoken with you before. I haven't quite gotten to that level of digital programming of servos, but after talking with you a couple months ago, it's something I've done. I did, in fact, purchase a programming device. So that's what I will be pursuing for this big plane back here. I don't know if you can see it. I have a big yellow aircraft P-38. So nice. I definitely want to put the best of the best in that airplane. So you can guarantee it'll be some Hitecs.
Yeah, there's some great YouTube videos that end users have put out there on how to program servos, how to match servos, where we're still adding features in the programmability. But if you need more throw out of the servo, if you want to, you want to put another servo, but you want to reverse it, you put a servo that's the same direction, but needs to go the opposite way. That's something you can do just in a few seconds with a programmer. So there's a lot of options, and for scale applications too. It's like, hey, I really need to slow this servo down.
Oh yeah, like gear doors and stuff.
Yep. And we even have linear servos now that are great for scale applications.
That's old school.
So,
I remember my original little Heathkit servos were linear back and forth.
Yep.
There's some
So,
definite. I mean, I guess what's the big trade-off? Is it torque that's the worst that you lose for
yeah,
linear
you lose speed with a linear,
speed?
so it's going to be pretty slow. But I've seen a lot of them go into like air brakes on turbines now, where you need that holding power, and with a linear servo, you basically turn it off and it's going to hold. So it's very advantageous in that. I've seen some scale canopies where the canopy slides back and forth via a linear servo. That looks really cool. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things like, wow, if I had a linear servo, I could do this, and I still appreciate the modeling aspect of the hobby where somebody scratch builds something, or they take an existing kit and add some features, and it's all about ingenuity and just being a modeler. And it's I grew up building. I still got some kits in my garage that need building. So and I look back at like I'm really excited to have looking forward to having the time to going back and you know sanding some balsa and gluing things together and getting the bench laid out to lay up a wing and I've got a Zeroli kit that's sitting there that I'm just dying to get started on. So
Well, what are you talking with us for? Get back on the workbench. Go grab some Hitec servos and put that thing together, Sean.
so I'm in year 2 of a remodel, so I've got one bathroom in the house right now. And, with a teenager, it's not always pleasant. So but hopefully that'll end here sometime soon. But yeah, my garage is full of remodel stuff. So I've got to find some batteries come the fun fly at the end of the month. So I know where the planes are, but need to make sure I have everything. So
I want to just mention real quickly, you kind of talked about it briefly a little bit earlier, but I think it's worth highlighting again because as we're looking at some of these new products that you have, some of these new servos, one thing that sticks out to me and I think is really kind of epitomizes what Hitec's been about for so many decades is your dedication to quality products. You're putting things out at very high quality, but the other side of that is your guys' customer support is top notch. Why don't you kind of tell people a little bit about your customer support and how dedicated you guys are to that aspect of the business?
So that's something that probably really kind of defines us over the years is, hey, something broke and that happens. And I called up Hitec and they took care of me. We have a 2-year warranty on all our servos and it's a pretty liberal warranty too. So, it's something happens like, hey, I lost my receipt, I'm like, well, just send it in. Comes to the service department, they fix it and usually send it right back. And if there is a charge, it's just a nominal charge for gears or something like that. But we really stand behind the product, and sometimes it's going to be advantageous to the end user to have us fix it versus just go out and buy a new product. And so, and again, it goes back to being able to be reached by via email. You can call and talk to the service department. In fact, we're even kind of working on the phone systems this week and next week to make it even easier to reach the service department and get to who you need to talk to. And then, more recently, we've gotten more involved on the social media side, where we can be reached via Facebook or Instagram or any of the other social media platforms that I'm not very good at because I'm also 50. I see a question come through on Instagram or Facebook, and even on the weekends, like, oh, I can answer that real fast, and it's because I want to. And but anybody can call us and talk to us and to be able to talk to the people using the product is very important to us. To being able to repair and stand behind, and if there is a problem, we're here to help the end user out, help the hobbyist out, and offer up ideas. And we get the questions all the time on, hey, I've got this airplane, and what should I use? And it's like, well, give them some options. Hey, depending on your budget, you can go this direction or this direction. And we'll ask them. One of my first questions. This happened to Joe Nall a lot. It's like, I'm building so and so. I'm like, well, what type of flying do you do? And what are you looking to get out of it? And is this going to be a sport plane? Are you going to fly at scale, or are you going to be ripping it around at 100 miles an hour and things like that? So that can really change what servo you install. And so offer different options. Keep in mind that try to keep it budget friendly for everybody. But that's the other thing we do is we have a lot of servos, but to bring those servos to market, we do a lot of testing, a lot of durability, confirmations, and there's a lot of different types of mil spec standards and other standards and things that go through before we ever bring a servo to market. And we'll go out and source different different motors. We source different motors from all over, and to qualify that motor to go into one of our servos, it can take months, and it's getting different builds and maybe even ordering a custom winding of a motor. And this is why I wish we had more small brushless servos, but we don't. And the only reason for that is the motor's good enough to become a Hitec servo or to be put in a Hitec servo don't exist. And so, or the ones that are good that size could be hundreds of dollars for the motor alone. And that's us buying thousands of them at a time. I've got a 10 and a 15 millimeter brushless industrial servo with insanely good but expensive motors in them. But for certain applications, that's the requirement. But for the hobby, they're a little pricey. But at the same time, they're phenomenal products. And I wish I could make a hobby version of some of that. And it's nonstop testing. We're finding a different motor manufacturer, and we go in and we inspect these manufacturers too, these vendors, and it's like they have to meet our standards, our qualifications, the same we do for some of our customers. We have big industrial customers that'll come out and walk the factory floors and visit us and talk to the engineers, and that's a normal part of being a company, and our factory and facilities are ISO 9001 and ISO 14001. So we make a quality product because of all the effort and all the standards and qualifications we've gone after over the decades to be able to be quality products, and we make 1 million servos, and to be able to make 1 million servos with the same quality, with the same consistency, that is really the hard part of scaling up for any company, is to make servo 1 exactly the same as servo 500 and 500,001. So that's what we do best, and that's what we've built ourselves up. We've created the infrastructure to be able to do that. So, and there's a lot of servos that I'd love us to bring to market, and I'm like, well, we haven't found a motor that qualifies for us to use it yet, and we're still looking. And so it's frustrating, but we're not going to bring an inferior product to market.
You have 50 years of proven following that mission statement.
Right. And it's hard building servos. It actually really is. There's a lot of nuances and learned knowledge that goes into it, and that we've gained from all this time. So every product becomes better every year. We get just even a little bit better. So that's exciting, and that makes me proud to be here. And I spend most of my day talking to consumers and then engineers on what servos they should be using in their product.
Well, we really appreciate the fact that you took some time out of that day where you could be talking to more of those customers and engineers to talk to us a little bit about Hitec and to help us celebrate 50 years of such an amazing company doing such great work for not just our hobby, but for all sorts of industry. And we really appreciate you taking that time out of your day to talk to us, Sean.
Well, Matt and Lee, it's been a lot of fun. I'm just tickled pink to be on here with you guys. So, love the AMA. In fact, I'm wearing my my pin. So,
Nice.
I got the pin at from Erin at Joe Nall. So she gave me the pin and a hug. So I felt pretty lucky. But yeah, it's just thank you for having me on. Thank you for having allowing Hitec to be a part of the podcast. So thanks, guys. Hi to everybody listening and watching. It's have a great time at the fly-in coming up in Muncie, and if you guys see us, if anybody out there sees us at a show, come talk to us. We're just out there. That's why we're there, is to talk to everybody and talk about the hobby, talk about the product, and promote the hobby. I mean, it's not just about selling product. It's to continue to develop, to be an ambassador inside the hobby, and to do what's good for the hobby. And that's what we feel that we try to do when we go somewhere.
Well, for me, when I recommend Hitec to other people, it's because I know it works.
Well, thank you.
It's from a previous experience. But I look forward to meeting you at another event and also seeing that Zeroli kit when you're done building it. So I'll keep on you.
All righty. It's a daunting, it's just, you smell
No pressure.
Yeah.
No pressure.
All right.
Well, thank you, Sean, so much for joining us today on AMA. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great one.
Hey, you too. That's Sean Spiker, the sales manager at Hitec. You guys can go learn more about Hitec at their website, hitecrcd.com. And you can also follow them on their various social media channels. I think we might have links to that in the description. If not, we'll get them there. There you see the Facebook link for them on your screen. Sean's such a great guy, and that company, again, it's just so incredible what they've done over the course of 50 long years. It's great to have them as a supporter of the AMA and supporter of this hobby.
Supporter of the hobby, definitely.
Yeah. Well, Lee, we've got a few more things we want to get to before we wrap the show up, and including, stick around, guys, because there's a giveaway that's happening at the end of the show.
And a special guest.
And a very special guest. We haven't told you about that yet. I just realized we haven't told anybody who the special guest is yet. But we do have a special guest coming up in just a second. But first, we want to cover just a couple of quick things. First, June is National Safety Month.
Yep.
And we wanted to tell you guys about that. Lee, you got the details on Safety Month?
I do. Well, guys, we can always be safe out there. Not just for your office, your workplace, but definitely for your hobby. So this month is just a friendly reminder that we do have our National Model Aircraft Safety Code that you agree to when you sign up to be a member of the AMA. And we've got a post out there right now. And I believe if I click on it there, so, it's just a simple, list of items that keep you safe out there, keep this hobby fun and exciting. And, about the safety month in general, there are some notes here that they give out there about common things you should concern yourself with about being safe in general. And they talk about emergency preparedness. Well, if you're at a field, having water, having first aid, and having an AED, an automated external defibrillator, is something that can be very helpful to be preparing for. Heat-related issues. If you're working outside, obviously, if you're out and enjoying this weather and getting out in the sun, you got to be careful with the sun. So again, be careful out there. Use sunscreen, find shade, know your limits. If you're not handling it very well, go sit down, relax, talk to some friends, go back out and fly later. Hazards. Well, our biggest one is see and avoid. And that can be for any aircraft, not just full scale, but any other airplane that's flying. So always use precautions. Be out there and call out your launches and your landings to make sure that everybody knows where you are. I put this in there because I think you can agree with this, Matt, but other dangers like bugs.
Yes.
If you're flying out there, you know what? We have Texas-sized mosquitoes out here. So I'm going to just say, if you're going to go out in Texas and you're going to come to an event down here, put on the bug spray, because those little nasty buggers will leave a welt. So again,
I hate bugs.
I hate bugs too.
I don't like it.
And I mean, just to shout out to my son, he hates wasps and bees. He just fears them greatly, and they're just around our field. So be prepared. Some people are allergic, so again, part of the safety issues. Be prepared for that. And then finally, I'm going to give tribute to Sean because I thought about this while he was talking about the equipment that you use for your aircraft. Use quality equipment like Hitec servos. Use the stuff that works. Don't buy a questionable brand. Don't get it because it's just the cheapest or you found it in a bin of servos at some swap meet. Use stuff that will work, especially if it's something that's larger, something that's going to fly around other people. So again, consider those little safety notes this month while you're enjoying National Safety Month.
Absolutely. We also want to announce our cover photo contest winner for the month of June. This is for our IFlyAMA Facebook group. If you have not become a member yet of the IFlyAMA Facebook group, head over to facebook.com/groups/IFlyAMA to join today. It's an amazing community full of folks. And every month we have a contest to see whose photo gets to take over the cover photo for that month. And Lee, who do we have as our winner for the month of June?
You have my drum roll?
I don't have a drum roll anymore. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
I don't have it.
There you go. So I hope it's Weismiller, but Rob Weismiller submitted this photo. This is of his son, Bentley. And he is showing here his Hangar 9 Showtime, powered by a DLE-20. And it says in the notes, this is what he responded to me, is that he took third place in the basic contest for the Indiana Cheer Fund at IMAC, and then he later placed second in the North Central Regional points.
Wow.
So nice photo. Thanks for sharing. It's real simple. Go to facebook.com/groups/IFlyAMA. Join the group. Answer a few questions. I'll let you in the door. You'll find the link for the cover photo in the featured links at the top of the screen. And submit your photos. They should be your photos or planes that are yours. And those who get the best likes or the most comments sometimes are the ones that we will choose for cover photo of the month.
And be sure when you're answering those questions, leave Lee a note because he reads all of those.
I do. I have. Thanks for saying that because I have had a couple of those because Matt said so. Matt told me to leave this message.
Great. Hey, that means that people hear me. That's fantastic.
They do.
I love it.
They hear you, man.
Well, and the other thing we like to do here on AMA Air is to announce the AMA Club of the Month. It's our way to kind of highlight and feature some of our clubs from all over the country, some of the clubs that are doing some really great things in their community and for the hobby. And we have a brand new Club of the Month for the month of June. Lee, who do we got for this month?
I don't know if that's a drum roll or not on my microphone. All right, so congratulations to the Albuquerque RC Club in Albuquerque, New Mexico. They've been around since 1955. And their field is in a city park, a City of Albuquerque park, and it's called the George Maloof Memorial Field. And they have about 44 members, but it's really nice. I'm going to go click on their little link here. It's a pretty good website. But look at that runway. And I think this was recently done back in 2019, so right before COVID. But the runway is 750 by 100 feet right there. I mean, I can say all this. Y'all can just go to the website, but it's arcc.club. But look, they also got these new metal benches here that they've added. But I mean, all the amenities are great. They have a control line area, place for helicopters and drones. They have a covered area, again, safety month, shade, fine shade, Albuquerque, New Mexico, hot, just putting it all together, folks. But really impressed with this club's setup. And also, we always like to hear the stories where the city is helping modelers find a place to safely fly. So. Albuquerque, the city of Albuquerque also can thank you for doing that for us and let us know other stories, folks. If you want, tell us of other clubs that are getting wonderful benefits from their city to find them homes. We know there are several clubs that sometimes receive land from, that cannot be built upon, and that's great for flying. So if you can take advantage of that, that's wonderful news. So again, thanks a lot, Albuquerque, for being our club of the month.
And I tell you, one of the things that I love to see that I saw on that page for that club site is that they have a dedicated spot for control line or U-Control. That's something I feel like I see less and less of that these days, but it's always nice to see that that is something still represented at that club because there is still such a big passionate base of folks that like to fly control line. And
You're foreshadowing a conversation in a few minutes, my buddy. Stay tuned.
totally on purpose.
Good job.
I wish I could say it was on purpose. It really wasn't. Well, and finally, before we get to our last guest for the show, I wanted to remind you guys, and we talked a little bit about it earlier, because it's an event that Hitec is a sponsor for, along with a lot of other great sponsors. It is the National Fun Fly, taking place here at the International Air Modeling Center in Muncie, Indiana, this coming June 23rd through the 25th. So we're just a few, like 3 weeks away, I think, if my math is right. Again, here at the International Air Modeling Center, it's going to be an absolute blast. If you're going to be in the area, if you have not registered yet, I would go do that. We're going to have a swap shop. There's going to be exhibitors. There are going to be prizes given away. We've got some really cool prizes that we have on dock. We've got a few of them already posted on the website that you can see what's going to be up for up to win. We still have a few that have not made it there yet. Matter of fact, I'm supposed to do that today. I'll try.
All right, I'll try to wrap things up so you can get to that. Get back to work.
Exactly. But there's a brand new Spectrum radio that's in there. There's a copy of Real Flight 9.5. We've got an Evolution there. We've got a couple of really cool old Warbirds. There's a lot of cool stuff for you to have, and we want to thank all of our sponsors that are involved in that. And it's going to be a blast. If you guys have not registered yet, I promise you don't want to wait to do so. Head on over to modelaircraft.org/funfly to get more information and to register and see all of that fun stuff. So there it is. There it is. I feel like I stopped breathing halfway through that. That's okay. So I want to get to our guest, because this is a guy who I think is super cool. I love talking to him. We had a fun time talking offline before the show about something that he and I both are big fans of, and that is Star Trek. And Lee, I'm going to let you do the honors because, well, frankly, you've known him longer.
I kind of want to make it funny, but I'll leave it as it is. My buddy, my good friend Fitz Walker is in the wings. Let's bring him on the show. Oh, he disappeared. I'm fighting with Bryce. There he is. His signal is really cruddy because he refuses to get his wire fixed in his workshop. So please, in the comments, feel free to tease Fitz Walker, Mr. Hobby View on YouTube, the gentleman who, when I walk around to events, everybody knows his name, everybody knows his voice. It's amazing. Hello, Fitz.
To boldly go where no modeler has gone before. And my signal is fine. It's on your end.
No, I think Matt's going to approve on this one. I'm going to be making a visit to your house this weekend and just leave a Cat 6 line draped over your door.
Just give me a trunk.
If it's me, like, hey, if you want to come install a Cat 6 line and I'll let you do it.
Thanks, Phil.
Fuzzy
Fitz.
No respect. No respect.
We could sit here for a long time like we do in our podcast, but I'm going to speed things up. This is AMA Air. I got to tone it down a little bit. I wanted to bring Fitz on for two reasons. First off, we'd love to do a Joe Nall recap, and I wanted to share with those of you who are watching right now, there is a blog post on modelaircraft.org. Go to media and blogs. This is a blog I share or co-wrote with Fitz on our return to Joe Nall. Had a blast. I will not sit here and read it. I'm just going to scroll down. But while I'm scrolling, Fitz, give us your quick 2-minute recap on Joe Nall.
Joe Nall. Slowly I turned, step by step, inch by inch. We entered into one of the best and most glorious RC modeling event in the United States. Don't know how it went so many years without ever attending this event. It's absolutely fantastic. Every modeler needs to go here at least once. You don't have to go every year, don't go all the time, but at least once to experience what I affectionately call basically the Oshkosh of model airplanes. It's just an amazing event. There's something for everybody, no matter what you like, no matter who you are. whether you're young or old, male or female, in a hobby or not in a hobby. It's really, really a really great event, really relaxing. You're just a picture of me, as a matter of fact. We've talked about it before. It is great. Seaplanes, 3D, is all sectionated. Is that a word? Sectionated? Sectioned off. Anyways, it's a wonderful event. It runs a week long, weekend to weekend. So there's plenty of time to go camp out. And it's actually a great place to camp if you like camping or just generally out in the field. It's a really wonderful place.
Yeah, there's our little home sweet home right there.
Yep.
We mentioned in the article that we rented an RV based on what other people suggested doing. It worked out really well. Probably do some changes next year, but it's very popular. Huge camping facility. I mean, what, over 200-300 RVs at least? You think,
at least,
Fitz?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
But touching on what Matt was mentioning about control line, I thought I'd touch on this with Fitz, but there is a huge control line section out at Joe Nall. You don't normally see it because it's on the other side of the runway, but these guys are great. They were actually hosting a contest, 3 different category of contests, but they left one ring open for casual flyers like me, Fitz, and Phil Tallman, who's in the chat room. And I brought out a new in-box Cox PT-19. This is a model I've never had as a kid. And thanks to Fitz, we got it running and we flew it, had a blast. Lost 30 years of our lives just sitting there spinning around in circles, becoming kids again.
We lost 30 years of our lives getting them started.
That too. You have so much fun, and I'm so glad we get to share this. This was a model, or not the model, but this is a SIG Twister. My dad had one. I have so many fond memories of my dad flying it. So seeing it, just that flood came back, and I have one that I'm going to build and get back into the circle. But you want to touch on this, Fitz?
Oh, you did submarine.
Yeah, Matt's going to like the story. I don't think he knows it.
I don't.
So we actually met up with some friends from Texas there that was camping out near us, and they had gotten there a day or two earlier. They said, "Hey, you got to go check out the vendor line. There's some neat stuff, including this guy who's selling some submarines." I'm like, one of the things I like to do besides play with toy airplanes is play with toy submarines, and so that caught my attention. He said, "Yeah, they're really cheap price, and it has it's actually more sophisticated than it looks. It actually has a little controller that can, when it dives and submerges and surfaces, it actually has a pump. It's what they call a adjustable ballast. So it was actually pretty neat. They weren't asking much for it. It's rechargeable. So as soon as I could, I popped over to the dealer venue, and then there they were. And so I picked up one and came really, really this close to picking up a little helicopter. But so I go to Joe Nall, and I don't really buy much at a big airplane event, and I buy a submarine. Yeah. Bought it.
Anyway, there's a recap.
You go to Joe Nall, you don't really buy much. I somehow I feel like that's hard to believe.
It was tempting. Now I did go home with an airplane, but it was a different story on that one. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of there. I was being good, but there was lots of. Well, the one plane I really wanted, I wanted to keep my kidney, so I didn't buy it.
Yeah, they're overrated.
They're overrated. We got 2 of them, right? So maybe.
Yeah, you got to. You can lose one. It's fine.
There was one really, really sweet turbine that I really, really fancied, but there was a lot of just used stuff there and whatnot. So I was just being good. But it's neat. I saw another plane too that was real tempting, but again, it was a little bit on my price range. But a friend of mine almost bought it. Really came really close to buying it. So I was a sort of a broker.
Lee, did you end up buying anything, taking it home?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
I kept all my attention on taking photos and videos and flying that plywood overcast plane that you may have seen in some of the videos.
Yeah,
I'll touch on real quick. I was running around, and I'm going to touch on what Sean said earlier. It is a bucket list item. In fact, the first, it's funny that Sean said that because the first line in my blog post is, it's a bucket list item. And if you want to get it, I put in the comment section where the link is for the blog post that I wrote with Fitz and some of the photos. I hope you enjoyed. It's more of a casual approach. I didn't want to give too much tech about what it's about because you can find that. In fact, Matt shared an article. I think I found something that you had from Joe Nall, just a history in a previous Model Aviation magazine issue. So
Yeah.
I shared that too in the blog. It's definitely a lot of fun. It's also fun when you go with a guy like Fitz. We had a blast, and I know if you want to hear more about that, go to the RC Roundtable podcast, rcroundtable.com. You can listen to 2 podcasts we did. We had 2 issues about Joe Nall. One with RC. What's Matt laughing about? Is Fitz doing something? Is he
split
frozen?
it into 2 episodes?
We did. And that's why I'm trying to get to the end here. But to go to rcroundtable.com, we had a fun podcast live there at Joe Nall at the Electric Flight Line with the RC Plane Lab podcast guys. That was a lot of fun. And then we came back and had a podcast with Terry. So both of those episodes are on our show. Enjoy that, if you will. And I will leave it at that. Joe Nall, a lot of fun. Fitz, great guy to hang out with. But Fitz, what was the other reason why I brought you here today?
Oh, well, let's see. So if you followed some of our related, what do you call it, social media posts and such, the Legend Hobbies, in partnership with a whole bunch of people, the RC Roundtable, Hobby View, RC Geek, and of course the Academy of Model Aeronautics, has been offering a raffle contest for what you see on the screen here, the CL Models 88-inch Maxi-Lift. In fact, there's one right behind me. Placing this way here. So I have one that will be a future review in Model Aviation magazine. We actually flew it at Joe Nall, and it is a wonderful.
And that's the photo. That's the photo of at Joe Nall.
Yes, Lee, you took that picture. Thank you very much.
I did.
It's a fantastic picture. And it has a bomb bay, so we can drop stuff out of the bottom of it. It has a glider tow hitch on it. It's a very utilitarian aircraft that is super easy to fly. And so Legend Hobby was gracious enough to offer one up as a raffle prize for those who would enter the raffle, as we posted. And so, and an engine too. So the kit and engine.
The gas engine.
Gasser, yeah.
Wow.
not DLE, EME, Stinger.
I hope I win. I entered 2.
So I am here to crash this party to announce the winner of the raffle. We've been running it all month long, and so hopefully this the software I'm using will work. We'll randomly pick somebody.
I feel like this is a first for AMA Air. I don't know if we've ever announced a raffle prize winner on the show before. This is awesome.
All right, we're bleeding edge. So I guess without any further ado, I guess I should announce the winner, huh?
Let's do it.
All right, so hopefully this will work. I'm new to the software, so I read the facts. So
this is how you know it's all legit, because we have tech issues in the process.
yeah. So
all I did was invite Fitz. We have no idea what he's doing.
So it's
That's
okay.
true.
I've got the window open. I just have to click the button.
Okay, so I will remove this one, and Fitz has to do the rest.
Winners to draw. Hold on. I'll share once I know that this worked. All right, winners to draw 1. All right, drum roll, please. Drawing 100%. All right, let's see if
It's truly live, Matt.
it is live. I have a winner.
We have a winner.
Yes, I do. Probably want to keep his email private. So it is Mr. Keith Williams of Kansas City, Missouri.
Keith Williams of Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah,
congratulations.
I will post it in the. I can only do it in a private chat here.
Oh, I just put his name there. There you go.
Oh,
Keith
okay.
Williams. How's that? Did I spell it right?
Keith, congratulations. We will be in contact with you. We have your email address. You have won the Legend Hobbies Maxi-Lift
Wow.
kit, 88-incher with Stinger 35cc gas engine.
What a deal. Keith,
He's
you
got a
just
neat
won
picture.
that plane.
That is
Here
super
is-
rad. I love it.
I wonder if I can. I got a little profile picture. I don't know if I can save it.
No. We'll just we'll find Keith. That's all.
Here's his avatar. How about this? We'll get a little picture of him. Can I share present screen?
Oh, I don't know. Can you?
I
Try.
will try it.
I hope you guys are enjoying this raw live show as it is. I know Phil is. I'm sure Phil Tallman is enjoying it. By the way, I want to do a shout out for one of our VPs, Phil Tallman. He also hung out with us at Joe Nall. I mentioned him in the blog. fun guy to hang out with. For those of you in District, is that 11, Phil? Am I correct? Great guy to hang out with. I'm sure if you see him at events, you would agree. And we had a little a Habu fun. He had a 50 millimeter Habu. I had a little UMX, and we were just dodging around the electric field at one point. A lot of fun. There he is.
Oh, cool.
Hey, yep.
He is a heli flyer on Instagram, by the way. Oh, am I sharing the right? Sorry. There you go.
I see a small photo. There he is.
Yeah,
It's
sorry.
very tiny. There we go.
How's that?
Hey.
Well, that's
Low-res.
super awesome.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Keith. Looks like a helicopter flyer.
There we go. I'll put the banner back up there. Now I'll freeze frame that.
Yeah, there you
Congrats,
go.
Keith. Hopefully he flies airplanes in addition to helicopters. All right, let me. Am I stop me?
You're done. We're done.
I'm done. Keith.
Well, I'm sure Keith is going to be absolutely thrilled at his brand new airplane. I certainly would be. I'm a little jealous, not going to lie. But hey, that's the perks. We get to announce the stuff. We don't get to win the stuff. Well, Lee or Fitz, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show to talk about your trip to Joe Nall, but to help us give away this airplane. I think this was a super fun time.
Yeah, it was. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's great to be with you guys and talk shop. And thanks everybody for participating in the raffle prize competition thing as well. I don't know what to call it. And it was great. I was kind of waiting in the wings. You guys are talking to the Hitec guys, and that was really a trip through memory lane. One of my very first model airplane transmitters was a Hitec that he had mentioned. One of the Challenger 620. Which had really weird colors, but I had that thing forever, and I flew all kinds of stuff. But it was a 6-channel, really budget priced. It served me really well as I got into the more name brand stuff. So it was a real trip through memory lane. So it was great, and we had a chance to talk to the Hitec guys too a little bit at the Joe Nall.
Joe Nall.
Yeah, Joe Nall. They had a tent there. I had a chat with them, and both at the electric line and at the main.
I think Sean and I were two ships of the night, though, because I never ran into him.
Yeah, I didn't run into him either. Yeah, I talked to a bunch of the other guys. They're really cool to talk to. Lots of cool servos. A couple of servos I didn't know they had. That little micro servo with the motor sticking out caught my attention. That's new. I had not seen that before. So
can you imagine 80 ounces of torque out of that little thing?
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's like, it's got does it come from another planet or something? It's got the little nuclear generator.
It's called program fold plane in half.
Element 115 in there.
And one last thing, he mentioned reprogramming servos. I actually had to do that with the Maxi-Lift. It has 2 servos in the tail, and the elevator servo was reversed. And so I ended up picking up one of their servo reprogrammers so I could reverse the direction of one of the servos. And that came in handy instead of using an extra channel on the radio.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, Fitz, do you want to go over, just quickly mention the sponsors for that giveaway real quick so that we make sure we get all those in there?
Sure. The main sponsor was Legend Hobby, legendhobby.com. They're the one giving away the kit and the motor. He's got a lot of good stuff. And so he's the main sponsor. We were in a partnership with, of course, Model Aviation, RC Roundtable, RC Geek, and Hobby View. So please check out those partnerships and check out their websites or YouTube pages or social media. Lots and lots of good stuff. RC Geek Chris Wolf has been on the show a few times. He's we met him a bunch of times. Great guy to talk to. He's got some really good tips on improving in the look of your foamies. There's some really good stuff. So with the help of all of those, really spread the word and get people interested in maybe flying some larger scale aircraft.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate that, Fitz, and Lee. That brings us to the end of our show. I guess it's time to bid everyone adieu. It's time for the weekend. Gosh darn it! I'm ready to take a nap.
Well, I will see you in about a week and a half.
You're gonna be coming up here for Camp AMA. I forgot about that.
Camp AMA, coming with my boys, so I'll be up there hanging out. I think something unique this year is that we'll be dorming at Ball State. That should be fun.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. It's always a special time with Camp AMA. These young, pilots who are just loving this hobby as much as we do today. And then after that, I will be seeing you again for Nats, and then I'll be heading up to AirVenture. So we got a busy schedule. I'm not sure we'll make it. I don't know what's coming up for the first week of July. We got July 4th. So we need to plan out which day we're going to attack for our next AMA Air.
Oh, we will need to figure that out, won't we? Well, one way or another, we're going to be here for you guys in the first week of July for the next episode of AMA Air, and you can find it the same place you found it right now, which is on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, or modelaircraft.org/AMA Air. Any one of those places is where you can find us, and be on the lookout for those emails that come out to let you know what time and what day you're going to see us. But in the meantime, we hope you guys have a wonderful month of June, start of summer, and have some good flying out there. I know, Lee, you're going to have some good flying this summer. I'm going to have some good flying this summer. We hope you do too. And until next time, thank you so much for watching AMA Air. We will see you on the next one.